What's going on YouTube? So over the past 5 or so years, the midsize truck segment has really been revitalized with a lot of fresh faces. But only GMC is really pushing into the upscale space. Today we're with the all-new GMC Canyon, and we want to know, is this the most luxurious and capable midsize truck for you to buy? Let's go ahead and find out. So let's kick off this review under the hood because there's a lot of exciting things going on here. What we have is no longer a V6, no longer a diesel. Instead, we have a 2.7 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. However, unlike its sibling, the Colorado, we don't have 3 different outputs. The Canyon goes straight to the most powerful version. 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque.
It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, 4x2 or optional 4-wheel drive. You do also have pretty impressive fuel economy figures of 19 or 20 miles a gallon combined.
But a lot about this Canyon is the fact that you have a very luxurious look, especially here with the Denali trim level. So let's close up the hood and take a look at the exterior. So like I was saying, the exterior design was really a big focus for this next generation Canyon. And I have to say, from the second you walk up to it, you will notice it has a very handsome look to it. It is a wider vehicle now, but they also have given each of the 4 trim levels their own unique design. Here with the Denali, that of course is going to get that typical Denali treatment. It means you're going to have a lot of bling. So we've got the chrome grille that's going to go through here, although I like that they have retained the black that traces around the outside edges for a little bit of additional contrast. Now, let's talk about the headlights. This is a very premium looking headlight cluster, and I'm happy to report this is standard on every single version of the new Canyon. Projector LEDs, and then you've got this really cool bracket shaped daytime running light and turn signal indicator running through there. Additionally, down here in the bumper, we have an LED fog lamp. Now, giraffes might be a little bit jealous of this GMC Canyon because this has almost as much ground clearance. We have a standard 2-inch lift on all the trim levels, except for the AT4X that actually has a standard 3-inch lift. So this is a very tall vehicle. We're looking at 9.6 inches of ground clearance for this Denali trim level. Now, as we head around to the rear design, we do have a lot more of an interesting design than the previous generation. They've kind of sculpted the tailgate, which I think is the most interesting part of the rear end look.
Yeah, and of course, since we do have a GMC, you have big branding up right in here, and we also have Denali branding as well. But let's go ahead and check out our taillights. Of course, these are an all-new design, but let's see if all 3 elements are LED. Okay, so we have an incandescent brake light, incandescent reverse light, and incandescent turn signal. So I am a little bit disappointed by this. Even though we have the fully loaded GMC Canyon Denali, we're still gonna have no elements as LED besides for the accenting. So I would have really liked them to make it LED, give it a more premium vibe. But dropping down to the lower area, all this is gonna be finished in a body color. And as far as your tow rating is concerned, 7,700 pounds, which is very impressive for all the other trim levels besides the AT4X, which tows 6,000 pounds.
So in the Canyon lineup, you're going to start out with 18-inch alloy wheels. However, when you choose the Denali trim level, that's going to upgrade you to these 20-inch contrast alloy wheels. They have a really nice look to them, a lot of cool like grooves and textures inside of them to make them very visually interesting. But it's not the only option you have though. You can get the Denali Black Edition. That's going to finish them in a gloss black trim level, as well as a few other elements around the rest of the exterior of the vehicle. And you can also get 22-inch alloy wheels if you want something that's really gonna pop. Now moving up here to our mirrors, as you can see, we do have the chrome mirror cap, and of course you do have heating and blind spot monitoring on this trim level.
Now this is a truck after all, so let's go ahead and dive into the bed. We do have a standard dampened tailgate, which is nice, and as far as the bed itself, it's going to be a 5-foot bed. We have the Denali bed liner on this particular model, and as you can see, we do have tie downs here on the side. We also have a household style outlet for any type of charging or whatever you're going to need in the back of your truck. Now there is also a really cool feature that I want to show you on this new GMC Canyon. You can flex on all of your friends because we have the StowFlex tailgate. So if we unlock it, You can pop this baby open, and inside of here you have a 45-inch wide, 4-inch deep area, which is a perfect place to store tools. It's also an available area that you could maybe use for like tailgating or whatnot, because it does actually have a drain. So you can, ice up this area and have all your drinks nice and cold in this tailgate of the Canyon. And you do have really easy entry into the bed by the nice little step they've integrated here on the side, which was on the previous generation Canyon. And moving around to the side, I do want to talk about the different bed and cab configurations. Well, shall I say configuration, because there's going to only be one for this GMC Canyon, the crew cab that you see here and the 5-foot bed. Now, as far as some of the design elements, signature truck design, Denali is going to chrome out the door handles for a nice premium look, and you are going to have these really tough wheel archings on all of the trim levels, which I think looks really good, and you even have the little light here integrated on the side. Now, as far as the safety systems are concerned, let's go ahead and talk about this. GMC is nicely including 3 out of your 4 active safety features as standard on the Canyon model. And if you go for the Denali or AT4X, you will have standard adaptive cruise control as well. Now, you're not going to have the option of getting Super Cruise like you would on the bigger GMC Sierra, but that is still very good safety equipment for a mid-sized truck. But guys, there's a very luxurious interior waiting for you on the inside, so let's go ahead and dive into that.
All right, so I have pretty high expectations here getting into the Denali. Hopefully we have the new benchmark of luxury and mid-sized truck. But first, let's take a look at our key fob. You do have a standard intelligent entry system. You also have available remote start. And getting inside, just press the button and that will unlock the door. All right, and take a look at this all new cabin. As you can see, right as soon as you look inside, it definitely makes a strong first impression. But first, let's talk about colors and material options. So, you do have a standard cloth seat with your elevation trim as well as your AT4 trim level. But once you get to the Denali trim level, that's where you're going to get the real leather you see here today. Now, as far as color choices, you really don't have any. You are going to get this black leather with the teak accent. So as you can see, we've got this kind of brownish look that's stitched into the bolsters here as well as up here. We also have Denali branding at the top, and overall the seat looks quite nice. And down below you will have 10 ways of power adjustment on all but the base model. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, the Denali does come standard with running boards, so getting inside this truck is pretty easy, even though it is quite tall. And the first thing you are greeted with is this really cool animation. Nice cinematic feel once you get in here. All right, so let's talk about the rest of the materials in here. So we'll start off with our door trim. Really nice leather running through here on the armrest portion. It is going to be leather over here in that color contrast teak. And then through the center section, we've got this really nice looking cross-stitched leather material. You'll also find genuine wood inside of the Denali trim level. However, I do want to point out that this upper part of the door trim is still going to be hard touch. Denali trim level will come with the 2-person memory seating. All of our windows are one-touch auto down, but only the driver is auto up. As we move to the upper dashboard, again, this is going to be hard touch on the top, even here in the Denali, but we have some really nice wood trim running through the center section. This is laser engraved like it is on some of the other models like the Sierra, and you have the Denali branding in there. Down below, more of that stitched detail running through there. If you choose the AT4X, they'll actually sub this in for a white material, which is interesting because they're putting white in the truck that's most likely to get dirty. But nevertheless, down here along the lower part, again, nicely padded and leather stitched. Everything does feel good and solid as well. But let's go ahead and fire it up with the push button start. Now, after firing it up, the first thing you're going to be greeted with is a digital gauge cluster, but not just any digital gauge cluster. This is a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, the largest in the segment. The base model and the AT4 are going to come with a 8-inch display, but you get the upgraded one on the AT4X and the Denali trim level. Really nice graphics, very smooth and refined performance. And if you look at your windshield, you're not seeing things. The Canyon is the only midsize truck that can give you a head-up display, so that's a really cool feature to see. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, of course, we do have a special Denali branded steering wheel, nicely leather wrapped, thick rimmed. I really like the overall design. Plus, the Denali and AT4X will get heating, and it will be manual adjusting on all trim levels. Let's turn over here and take a look at interior storage. So I'm going to open up our console here. First of all, we have a little tray, but if we move that out of the way, we have a quite deep console. This goes down a good ways. And you know we don't leave home without our coupons. So even here in Asheville, we have them with us. We're going to stick those bad boys in there, and as you can see, fits perfectly fine. Up in front of that, we've got 2 cup holders. You do have another nice tray up here. This is a wireless phone charging pad on the Denali trim level. I also like the kind of camo theme they have going on there, and you have 2 USB ports. Taking a look at our shifter. Traditional style, just pull back for drive. You do have some toggles on the side if you want to do some manual shifting. No paddles on the steering wheel. Going into reverse, this is something I want to talk about. So 360-degree camera system will be standard on Denali and AT4X. But what's nice about it is they offer it as an option on the AT4 and the elevation trim level. So you can even choose the base model and still add on the 360 camera. So it's got a lot of different views, including side views. You have a trailer hookup view as well. And if you choose the AT4X, that has an available and segment first under body camera. So that will actually show you what rocks and stuff you are driving over. That's pretty cool. Of course, shift up to P for park. You do have an electronic parking brake as well, and here are your 4-wheel drive controls. Now moving beyond that, next place we come to are our climate controls. This is going to be a dual zone automatic climate setup, standard on every single trim level of the Canyon. Additionally, you're going to notice heated seats. These are going to be included on all but the base model, and then once you get to the Denali trim level, that's the beginning of the 3-stage ventilated seats. Let's talk a little bit about the overall display though, because as you can see, this is a very large display and it is standard. So it's 11.3 inches. It's running the newest Google-based software. So that means you're gonna have some nice things built in, including Google Maps right there in the system itself. However, if you don't like to use this, you still have access to Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, as you can see right there, and both of those features do run wirelessly. One interesting kind of quirk of this new model is the fact that your headlight controls are actually located in the display. So you can tap that little button there. That's where you can choose, turn your headlights on or off. Fog lights are also in another menu, but you don't have any traditional stock. So I thought that was an interesting thing to point out. Let's also talk about the audio system. So your base 2 trim levels, those are going to come with a 6-speaker sound system. The top 2 trim levels will come with the 7-speaker Bose premium sound system. Let's go ahead and give that a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality is certainly very good. This is a very bass-heavy sound system, so if you like that, you'll be very impressed by it. Let's move on to our mirror up here. This is an auto-dimming mirror. This is available on most of the trim levels. We do have incandescent lighting, it looks like. And then let me roll this back. If you remember, the previous generation did not have a sunroof available at all. So I am happy to report that this new model, you can add a sunroof to every single trim level. It'll just be a $1,000 upcharge.
All right, now like I mentioned on the outside, this is crew cab only. So that means that every Canyon is going to have this exact same rear seat. So let's go ahead and dive into the space first. 34.7 inches of legroom, a little over 38 inches of headroom. The headroom is pretty impressive, especially for someone of normal size. Now I do want to point out though that this is actually an inch less space than the previous generation Canyon model. So do keep that in mind. You're going to have a little bit less room on this all new version. As far as knee space for someone of my size, I'm looking at about 4 inches, which that's not too big, guys. So it's going to be a little bit tight for the bigger fellas out there. I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's also modest 5'8". Now my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, so that adds to the comfort level. And as far as features, we have 2 cup holders up here in the front. We're not going to be too hot or cold in the back, so Katy Perry wouldn't be too happy because we're going to have vents on every single GMC Canyon model. Also, we're going to have 2 USB ports, a USB-C, a USB-A, and then at the very bottom, household style outlet. So GMC is really throwing in all the connections to keep everything charged up. Additionally, we have a center armrest that can fold down with 2 cup holders inside. And then your door trim is going to be the same materials as the front, so hard touch on the upper part. We do even have that quilted design here in the back and leather on all of our armrest portions. And then in the very bottom, we have some bottle storage. And in typical truck fashion, you do have the ability to just fold the seat bottom up, and there is some underfloor storage. That's going to be standard on every single Canyon model. You just use this little lever here on the side. Now let's go ahead and talk price for this new GMC Canyon. Now this is a very luxury truck through and through, especially for the midsize segment. So let's go ahead and see how much it's going to cost. Well, the elevation trim level starting at $36,900. AT4 $43,900, Denali $51,000, and AT4X $55,500. These are starting points. Now there are options that you can add on. We don't have the exact pricing for this particular model. We will try and get that to you in this video if it's at all possible, but GMC has not included the sticker for this particular model. Now, of course, we will also be driving this all-new GMC Canyon, so stay tuned for that coming in the next week or so. Of course, there is a driving impressions embargo, and we're going to honor that for GMC as well as the fellow journalists checking out this GMC Canyon. But if you enjoyed watching this video, please hit that subscribe button down below, because it really helps give us a lot of different opportunities like this that we can sample out some of the newest trucks first for you all to see on the channel. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. Also, take a second to follow us on TikTok and Instagram, check out our merch store, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.